Here's an opinion piece that I wrote for September 1981, the Frogtown Forum, where I was the editor for a few years. This piece is entitled, "What Confucius Said." No one lives on top of the wilder high-rise, nor is there a bedroom in the St. Agnes bell tower. And Capitol security will not let a curious hermit live above the Capitol rotunda. But I wonder what sounds could be heard there rising from Frogtown. A mixture of crying, complaining, cursing, and criticism would probably drown any squeals of joy. The howl of argument would probably cover the whimpers of anguish. Laughter would be drunken and strained. But these would be small sounds of people who are merely self-pitying. The banshee wailings of mothers mourning babies who starved in the night would not be heard. The rat-tat-tat-tat of automatic weapons would not rip away the boasting of barfly braggarts. And the immense shadow of poverty and its malevolent silence would not loom over Minnehaha Avenue. Across the world, 2/3 of all human beings go to bed hungry. 3/4 of them live in an unstable political atmosphere, governed with perpetually visible militias. The complaining and crying in Frogtown pales before these realities. We do have a good place to live. 99% of us in Frogtown live more luxuriously, with more mobility and opportunity than our parents did at a comparable age. And probably few of us have worked as hard as our parents. Yet we still cry and moan because we think the Hmongs, AFDC mothers, and welfare recipients are taking something away from us. Last week, as I was standing in line at the bank, a retired man went into a tirade about the Southeast Asians living in Frogtown. He admitted that he lives well on his pension, but he obviously spends so much time worrying about how these newcomers live that he hates them and makes himself miserable. Hate and anger do have a way of becoming self-consuming. Also, he admitted that he never bothered to talk to them and find out about their personal misery, nor did he offer to help them in any way. Is he a good neighbor? Since so many of my readers are senior citizens, I want to address them. The most miserable people I have ever met have been embittered senior citizens who sit and stew and think the world has cheated them of happiness. On the other hand, the wisest and most interesting people I have ever met are vital old-timers who taught me that, although life is not always fair, each of us has opportunities to find new experiences anywhere. We can meet new people and enjoy our old friends and feel the good warmth of life over and over and over. Tempered by the decades of pain and joy, these seniors hold no grudges. Life has cheated very few of us in Frogtown. We only make ourselves believe we were cheated. Many of us who are younger believe the newcomers are cheating us of our future. That, of course, is bull. We are spending less time working and more time complaining than any generation to previously grace this earth. If we spent more time enjoying what we have and what others offer, instead of feeling cheated of what we wish we had, If we expended more effort trying to work for what we want and worried less about what someone else has, someone who usually has less than we, our neighborhood life would be so much better. These, I know, are just human frailties. This neighborhood is a good one with good people. I know it for certain, and I make sure I look for those good people. There were times I barricaded myself, fearful of strangers, suspicious of foreigners. Often, I must remind myself that I didn't like my best friends when I first met them either. I won't shut myself off from the rest of the neighborhood now. Around 500 BC, Confucius wrote, "It is goodness that gives a neighborhood beauty." He also wrote, "Is goodness indeed so far away? If we really wanted goodness, we should find that it is at our very side." What, you might ask, is my point? So many old-timers have told me that in the old days, neighbors looked after one another. People cared for their next-door neighbors. You young people don't have any values. Well, those old-timers can blame themselves. I think some of them use that as an excuse to keep from being responsible neighbors themselves. If you look for evil, you can easily find it. And if you look for goodness, you can just as easily find it. If you offer your hand and a good word to enough people, you will get it back with interest. If you help a stranger or ungracious neighbor, you will be helped in return when you need it. Your life need not be constant fear and misery. Even the littlest bit of faith is all that is necessary. You say that there is more crime and violence. I say yes, because we let it be there. If more of us were out on the streets helping each other out, enjoying each other's company, being less suspicious of our neighbors, the criminals would have less freedom to roam. Criminals love nothing better than empty streets and a fearful populace. In this society, more than anywhere else on earth, we have more social help programs, more church groups, more support groups for the sick, the elderly, the crime victim, and the impoverished. Obviously, people care about one another. Must we only care through organizations? We live with more opportunities for luxury and education. We have more contact with distant friends and relatives. But what do? We lock ourselves away from even our closest neighbors. We complain about them and get ourselves worked up and miserable. I, for one, refuse to do that. My only regret is I don't have enough time to spend with all the good people I meet. I will not let criminals and petty complainers keep me from enjoying all the wonderful things in Frogtown.